'Cause I love it when you call me Big Papa. Put your hands in the air if you's a true player. Hey Siri, turn the Christmas tree off.
Okay, the Christmas tree is off.
And you're crooked. Are you crooked? Whatever. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're gonna get negative. What? No, I'm kidding. I mean, sort of, ish. First of all, yeah, Christmas 2020, the one where we quarantined. If you know what this is in reference to, drop a link, and not obviously the pandemic. What this is for. Anywho. So today, if you can read the title, we're going to talk about the top 5 fountain pen world things that I don't like, that trend heavily. A couple of these I've talked about before in the past, but one of the interesting questions that I got submitted to me through my Patreon account, link in the description if you want to support me in what I do here, plug, one of my patrons asked to do a video about this because they mentioned something that is trending pretty heavily in the fountain pen world that they don't like and they see everywhere, and they're wondering what my thoughts on that were. So I came up with 5 because, well, the YouTube algorithm likes top 5 lists, and so do I. So I came up with 5, and one of them in particular is probably going to get me in trouble. So let's get into it. In no particular order, one of the things that I dislike a lot, and I actually saw this yesterday on Instagram, and it's people who are selling their used fountain pens. I don't care how used, whether it's been used once or whether it's been used 10,000 times. Does not matter, in my opinion. Whatever the final condition is, whatever, but it is used. People selling their used fountain pens that are no longer in retail production. So you can't just readily buy them anymore. You can only buy them secondhand. And they're selling them for like significantly more than what they would have been worth retail. And or, to be fair, the same price as retail. I hate that. I really do. I think it's robbery. I do. I'm sorry. I know many people probably aren't going to agree with me. And I'm not talking about vintage pens, by the way. I do want to put that in parentheses. I'm not talking about vintage pens. I'm talking about modern pens. Even ones that are, were made in like the 90s and 2000s onwards, I would say. Vintage pens, different world. It's not a world that I'm familiar with. It's not a world that I've ever really dipped my toe into. So I'm talking about modern pens. But I saw somebody put a pen, I think it was the M800 by Pelican, the brown, I think it was like I don't think it was tortoiseshell brown, but it was one of the brown ones, like the striation ones that were all brown. Anyway, you can't buy it anymore. And they were requesting, I guess, you can't really say want, they are requesting like $1,700 for that pen. And I was like, you cracked there, bud. You totally cracked. So that is a trend that I dislike. To me, when I post pens, obviously if there's a defect with the pen, then it's going to be heavily marked down. But I think that you should really be taking 10 to 15% off of that pen because that's your renter's fee. You purchased the pen, you used the pen, you did not like the pen, and or just getting rid of it because you don't use it anymore. So that's your renter's fee. Sucks to suck there, bud. My Canadian just came out there, and hey, bud. It sucks, but that's just life. That's your renter's fee. That's just my 2 cents. I could go further into it, but I won't because I'll get too heated. So moving on. Another thing that I dislike about the fountain pen community trends that are going down, and this one I have talked about before, it's so many like exclusives, essentially, whether that is ink or a pen. And I don't care if it is a retail exclusive. I don't care if it's a brand seasonal exclusive. I don't care. The limited editions and exclusives, there's just too much. There's too much these days. Oversaturated. It's no longer special. It no longer feels like it's actually worth, more often than not, the higher price tag than any other pen in that same lineup. Nope. I think it's dumb now. I think, it's the oversaturation. That's really it. Once a year to come out with a special edition and potentially, have it be more, fine. But I mean, some companies are coming out with 1 to 2 to more than even 2 special edition inks or pens or whatever per quarter. And I'm just like, bro, slow your roll, because the more people that do it, the more often they do it, the more retailers that do it. I'm like, this is dumb. No thanks. I'm gonna just wait for the next one. Bye. So I think that's just the biggest thing. It's just oversaturated. I'm tired of seeing it, and it's not special anymore. So that's the thoughts on that one. Oh man, I feel like this video is not going to do well at all. The next thing that I dislike, that a lot of people like, and I do kind of see why, is shimmery inks. Can't stand it. I thought it was cool when there was I guess it's like an oversaturation thing too, sort of with the exclusives. I thought it was kind of cool when J.Herbin came out with them, now called J.Herbin. But when J.Herbin came out with them, and there was really only a handful, 5 or less inks that you could buy that had shimmer in it. I thought that was pretty darn cool, but now they're flipping everywhere. Every brand is doing them. They're hard to clean out of your pens. My space heater just turned on, so I hope you can't hear that. If you can, I'm sorry. It'll turn off in a second. I live in the basement. It's cold, so, there's just too many. There's too many. They're hard to clean. It's annoying that if you want to dip them, which is usually what I use them for, you got to shake the bottle every 30 seconds, which means you have to cap it and uncap it, cap it and uncap it. It just takes forever. Even if you have it in your fountain pen, you got to roll, shake, whatever your fountain pen, every line or two. Depending on the paper you're on, sometimes it feathers and can be a bit of a butt to use. Depending on your nib size, the actual pen you have it in, it's there's so much work. There's so much work, and it's not worth it to me. It's just not. So I don't like the trend of so many flappin' shimmery inks, which leads into my next trend that I don't like. And this is the one I think I'm going to get in the most trouble for. Inkvent calendars. You still here? Don't yell at me, okay? I know, Diamine is pretty much the only one that does it. But to be fair, I don't like any advent calendar. They're all dumb in my opinion, in the sense of you pay a lot of money for them, you get poor quality stuff. I'm sure there's the exception to the poor quality, so stop yelling at me in the comment section. But I don't really like advent calendars. I just don't. The reason why, specifically, the Inkvent calendar bothers me is because of what I just said. Over half of them are shimmery, and I don't want it. If I get that much ink, if I'm spending that much money, yes, it's a novelty to open it up and get to try so many new inks. That is a cool part of it, and I will give it that. But to me, it's just I already know going into it that half of them are going to be shimmery. A couple of them are going to be sheen heavy, which I do like. And that is a trend that many don't, by the way. And then you're just going to get your standard palette colors on top of that. There's really, out of the 24 or 25 days that you get something, there's probably really only 3 that I would ever consider using on a day-to-day basis, or that I would ever consider using throughout the rest of the year. Diamine Polar Glow, for example. That, I believe, came out of the very first Diamine Inkvent calendar, which virtually nobody was able to get because they sold out like, in 2 seconds. That I have actually purchased a bottle of because I like it a lot. I mentioned it in my top 5 inks. Spoiler, but it may not have been the top 5. It could have been a special mention. I posted that one 2 days ago if you want to check that out. But I know like 95% of the ink that's in there, I'm not going to want to use beyond a swab, and that's about it. And it's not just ink, it's just I'm saying ink because obviously it goes to this community. But I've done tea advent calendars before, and I just don't like them. I don't like them. I don't think they're worth it. For others, it may totally be worth it for you. In which case, I don't buy one. So there's one more available for you. That one I feel like is going to get me in trouble. There's probably like 10 people that already just stopped listening because of that. So yeah. Okay. The final top 5 that I dislike. This isn't really so much of a trend. I suppose it is, because there are actually a fair amount of pens now that are offering this. The latest that I'm aware of being Leonardo Momento on their Zero model or Magico. I think it's actually on both. But anywho, that's flex writing pens. I think most of them are garbage. I'm gonna get yelled at so much. My face is getting red. Do you see this, guys? My ears are getting red because I know the hate that's gonna come my way. But, if a Patreon member asks, I'm gonna do it. Unless it's like super offensive, in which case, no. But my Patreon members are cool. I don't like flex writing pens for the most part. I think there are a few exceptions. The Pilot Custom 912 is my favorite pen of all time. However, asterisk to that, it is my favorite pen of all time for a flex writer with an ebonite feed, which it does not come with. You have to purchase that separately. So now that it has the ebonite feed, I love it. But to be fair, I don't really use it for super flexy writing. I just like the responsiveness when you're actually writing like regular. I think there is a time and a place for flex, which does not fit into my everyday style, despite the fact that I am trying to actually get better. I'm trying to use them more and more. I did a video I think it was last week. It was actually, maybe December 1st. Was the first video of the December every Monday through Friday videos. Something like that. I'm basically losing count already. But yeah, I have dip pens. I've got the Aurora Anniversary pen. I've got the Pilot. I've got Noodler's Music Nib, the Triple Tail, which is actually fun to use, by the way. But Noodler's is problematic in the sense of sometimes you get one that works great out of the box, sometimes you get one that doesn't work great out of the box, and then you gotta heat set them, and then you gotta fiddle with them, and that's a whole other thing. But I think if you're going to do, and I do have the Memento Magico. That's a flex one. I think if you're going to do a flex nib as a brand, make it your thing. Make it so that it does rival a dip pen in the flexibility, or just make it good, because most of the flex that I've used railroads frequently. You've got to be really careful with your ink choice. Almost none of the feeds keep up, and that's, I think, the biggest problem, is that because they're not focused primarily on flex writing, the feeds aren't meant to handle that much ink. It's not meant to be a slip and slide right out, And so because of that, it dampens the experience. And I think that's why a perfect example is the 912 from Pilot. Ebonite feed that you have to buy separately. Chef's kiss. Magnifique. I love you. Plastic feed, you got to be real careful with the ink that you choose, because otherwise it don't work that great. So, with everybody, it seems, these days getting into flex writing and calligraphy and all this kind of stuff, dang, make it good. And it's hard. It's hard for modern companies to do that because it is so expensive. And I think that's why for the vintage pen folk, that's where really the flex writing shines, because that's what people wanted back then. So again, these trends, guys, they're not like, oh my gosh, like these all have to go away, they all suck. They're just not for me. They're trends that I don't like, but they're trends that you may like. Like I said, sheening inks. I adore sheening inks, but there's a lot of people that don't. Just like I don't like shimmery inks, but there's a lot of people that do. So that's just my thoughts, my opinions. Let me know in the comments section down below, respectfully please, what fountain pen trends you don't like. And if you want to let me know which fountain pen trends that I don't like that you like and try and convince me to jump onto the other side, you can do that too. Just drop a comment down below. If you're down there though, you might as well hit the like button, because I mean, if you're still watching 16 minutes into this video, like, you like the video. If you want to see more and not ever miss one, do hit the subscribe button. And then if you check out the Patreon account that I have in the description, you will have the opportunity to help support me and what I do here if you so choose. But even if you don't, I still love you for watching this video. So as always, I'll see you next time. Bye. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. Just kidding, that's the beginning. It is time for our Patreon crew shout out. This was filmed as of December 1st, so if you don't see your name, don't fret. I will update it as soon as I possibly can. My two ultimate humans, Daniel Rodney and Comp Dave, and all my VIPs, Susan, McCall Bennett Lawrence, Karen Epstein, Gretchen Peters, Carol Lowry, Michael Simon, Subi1 Kenobi, Catherine Molina, Waylay Chang, Brian Law, Bill Pemberton, Lucas Bell, Robert Myers, Marissa Calvo, Eric Lineman, Stephen Baldwin, DigitalTent.tech, Bobby A. Bailey, Bass, Joan Worthman, Luna Wolf Games, Aaron C., and Glenn Kelly. You guys make it super, super, super possible for me to keep making these videos. No matter what tier you're in, I thank you for supporting me on Patreon, especially those of you who've been with me since the beginning. You mean more to me than you could possibly ever know. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.